Hello, I am filming Elliot's 2-year baby update in this video. Are they babies at 2? 2-year toddler update. Hello, if you're new around here, then I'm Grace and I've got 2 little boys, Elliot, who I'm doing his update on today, and I've also got a almost 1-year-old baby Jasper as well. So there's 14 months between my 2 sons if you're new around here. And I make all content about mum life, and as this video suggests, I'm doing a baby update, so if you like that kind of thing, then do keep on watching. So I do Elliot's updates now every 6 months because I just feel like there's not loads that happen in between, whereas when they're younger there's quite a lot that happens all at once, and especially now he's hit 2. I actually looked back on Elliot's 18-month video update that I did back in the winter, and yeah, I mean there's not heaps of huge things that have changed, but I do just feel that like in the last little while he has really just, he's turning like into a little toddler boy. He's gone from like toddler baby into a toddler boy. Let's just talk about some things that have been happening with Elliot over the last 6 months. After Elliot started walking, which I spoke about in his last update, we did buy him some baby reins, and they have been a really great investment for him because he's been used to using them ever since he's been walking. He doesn't mind us using the reins, and I just feel like I've got a little bit more control over him. And in the last maybe 2 months, I'd say, we have actually been taking Elliot on some little short path walks, like out and about. Rather than him going his pram, he's actually gone, like he's walked with me. I even have done a couple of walks now, like with Jasper in the pram and me on my own, and Elliot like holding my hand with the reins. And we did buy a buggy board. I didn't like it at all. He didn't use it, and so basically Elliot has been holding onto the pram and walking with me with the reins, so he's actually done like quite a lot of walking. He walks quite a far distance for a 2-year-old. I'm really impressed by the distance that he can walk. He just loves to walk at the minute, which is really nice. So that's something that's quite new since he's turned like 2, and maybe like because he turned 2 a month ago, so this was around the age of 2, and some things that have been happening. So he's a good little walker. He's so confident. He loves to explore, and yeah, he just feels like a proper little toddler boy now. Another thing that is different with Elliot, I mentioned it in his last update again, but I feel like it's developed more since I spoke about it. He's become so cuddly. When I spoke about it in the last video, he was cuddling like his toys and his soft toys, whereas now he's really cuddly and clingy with me and my husband. Like he comes up, gives us lovely bear hugs and cuddles, and he sits down and he wants to hold our hand, and he wants to just be a lot more like affectionate towards us, and that is so nice. He's also like it towards his brother, but it is more with me and my husband, and he just really loves that interaction that we give him. Like when Jasper is down for a nap, I feel like Elliot really he strives off of like he loves it when we sit down and read with him. He absolutely loves story time, which is so nice. We have like a really nice cuddly story, quite a few stories we read him. His favourites are the Julia Donaldson. He really enjoys them. We do watch the Amazon television shows of them as well, but he loves it when we read to him, which is just such a nice thing. It's a really nice bonding time between the 2 of us. I do read with Jasper as well, but Jasper's never really enjoyed reading quite as much as Elliot, but hopefully if I carry on reading with both of them, they will both enjoy it. And when Elliot was like a small baby, we would read him a bedtime story, but this isn't just a bedtime, like he does have a bedtime story, but like things to do, which is really nice. And Elliot has got a little bit better at playing with toys. If you watch any of my other videos, you might know already that he's never really been a great toy player. He's always been a baby and a child that enjoys objects that aren't toys, such as watering cans, buckets, that sort of thing. He is still like that. He still loves a watering can and a bucket, but he is getting a little bit better with toys. He likes balls. He loves to throw balls in the garden. He's got quite a cheeky can be annoying as well, thing that when we go in the garden, he just is obsessed with throwing the balls in the flower borders. It's just, which is quite boring for us because we're continually getting out balls from the flower bed. So we're trying to ask him not to throw it. We're trying to say, look, there's all this grass. We're thinking about getting him a little goalpost and try and encourage him to kick or throw the ball in there. But he loves balls, he loves balloons, especially after his 2nd birthday. He has been besotted with balloons. Absolutely obsessed by them. So that's something really nice. And I feel like Elliot got to, like, you know, I know that some people don't really agree with it, but like, you know, the phrase terrible twos. I feel like Elliot got to the terrible twos a lot before too, and he's actually got a little bit, like, his meltdowns and his toddler tantrums, they seem better now because he's got to this level of sort of understanding why we're saying something a bit better. So like the other day, talking about balloons, we went to Blue Water and we went in the Works, which is, if you're not from the UK, it's like a crafts, books, colouring, like stationery sort of things, but they also have balloons and party bits too. It's a bit of a all-round kind of shop, and they had some balloons up in the shop, and Elliot really wanted to play with a balloon because obviously he's had his own balloons. He thinks that he can play with all of them. So I was explaining to him, we can look at the balloons in the shop and you can enjoy looking at them, but you can't take them home, because I don't want him to learn that when we go into a shop with balloons, he's going to get a balloon, because he is not. And as well, I want him to learn that balloons are for a special occasion, a birthday or a party. So he really wanted a balloon, and I was doing my best job to sort of explain to him in the shop, look, let's enjoy them, but we're going to say goodbye to the balloons. And we walked out, and it was the first time that he didn't have a, like, because instead of me just being like, no, you can't have it, and then going out the shop, I tried to really reason with him and explain. He was really good. He said goodbye to the balloons, and I said, look, we'll go and stand outside and look at the balloons from the shop window and say goodbye again. And I feel like he is getting a little bit more level-headed, like in those moments where he wants something and I'm not letting him have it. I don't know if that makes sense at all. There's sometimes when, like, he has a strop or a meltdown and if you're in a rush, you don't have time to be explaining to them you can't have the balloon today, like, but they don't always understand that. But he is getting a lot more knowing, and also I've noticed that, like, in those moments, like, where he's not getting something he wants, which, let's face it, is a lot because toddlers always want to be in control, he is having a little, like, he almost, like, you can see, like, he goes off to almost, like, have a bit of a strop, like, he sort of, you can see he's sulking, but he's not having a meltdown. He's kind of almost like maybe walking away from it calmly and having a quiet moment. And it's been a lot more, like, when he does that, it's like, oh, I feel like that's quite a good improvement. For a 2-year-old, I'm quite impressed that, like, he's just going away, like, he's not happy about it, but that's fine. And it's like, and we're able to say to him, look, that's really good. You didn't, you know, we all want things, but we can't always have what we want. And yeah, I feel like that's been an improvement. Like, whereas 6 months ago he was having, like, the full-on, very determined, like, he's very strong-willed. He's my son at the end of the day. He's going to be determined and he knows his own mind. But I feel like he had some real toddler strops, like, when he was more like 18 months, and we're definitely maybe I'm just learning how to, like, get to his level a little bit more, but yeah, that's been a lot better, his toddler meltdowns. It's just, and maybe as well just because he is 2 now, he's always understood quite a lot for like a young child, like what we're saying, so maybe he's just getting even more understanding of situations and things like that. So talking of, like, understanding and us understanding him, now that he is 2, he says a lot. Like, actually, he doesn't talk loads. I know that for a 2-year-old, I'm not really sure what they're supposed to be saying. I guess he probably doesn't say quite as much as he should. But on saying that, I was watching his 18-month update, and he is saying a lot more than he was saying 6 months ago. And he's really, even in the last few weeks, he is really trying to copy and really trying hard to communicate with us, which is amazing. Yeah, he says a lot more than he was saying in the last update. Mama, Dada, Pen for our dog Penny. We call her Pen. He says moon. He says, like, he knows like cats and meow meows. Pig, he knows pig. He knows colours, like if he can say like a pink or blue. He doesn't know, like he knows colours. He won't say green, but like if you ask him to point out green, he will. I know that when you actually look into things like that, it's more important to give them functional language, which we tried to do anyway. Like, another thing that happened the other day, which I thought was really a good example of how he's trying to communicate with us, is that we were in the bath, and sometimes we have a cup, and sometimes he likes to just have a little bit of like tap water from the tap, and I run the tap without like checking the temperature of it, because like obviously just had the warm water running for the bath. It wasn't scalding, because we do hot and cold before you all jump at me. And he had a sip of it, and I could tell that there was something, like there was something not quite right with it. And I was like, what's up, Elliot? And he was like, hot. I put my finger in it to check, and it was like warm water. It wasn't like cold tap water. And I thought that was a really good example of him like communicating to me that this isn't cold water, I don't want to drink this. So I was really impressed by that. So he knows now to say hot, because we've obviously, like, we try to explain to him when it's hot or cold. So yeah, he's really trying to talk. Another thing that he said the other day, for the boys' joint birthday present, because their birthdays are only a couple of months apart, we've got them a swing set, like in a climbing frame and a slide. And the other day, Elliot, he was sort of like going quite, like, the swing had sort of stopped, and he said higher. He wanted me to push him higher. So yeah, he is definitely getting to grips with communicating what he wants with us, which is amazing. And talking like that will go hand in hand with hopefully him feeling less frustrated and less meltdowns, stuff like that. He is really trying to talk now. He says pa for grandpa. What else does he say? There are loads of things, so there are quite a lot. Obviously, like I said, I'm not sure what a 2-year-old should be saying, but he is definitely going to be talking soon, I think. And another thing that I think will help his communication come on leaps and bounds, and it's such a big thing, is that at the end of the year, we have actually got Elliot a place to start at nursery for a morning a week, which, oh my god, I just feel like that's such a big thing. Like, if you're new around here, or you might not already know, me and my husband split the child, like, because we both work. I work part-time, and we do split the childcare between us, so we don't have to send him to nursery, but we just figured that one morning a week, having some playtime with children of his own age, would really be. I know he's got a younger brother, but Jasper's not quite at the stage that Elliot is yet. We thought that it might just be beneficial to him, and we just felt like it might be something that he likes, because he's a very confident baby, I think. He's very, like, considering he was a lockdown baby as well, he's very sure of himself, he's very easygoing. So I thought, why not see if he benefits from nursery and playing with some children of his own age, just a morning a week. So that's coming up later this year. I don't want to talk about that too much, because I want to see how it goes first, but I think that if he likes that, that's definitely going to help his speech as well, being around children. And because obviously we know his needs, but a nursery teacher and like the nursery staff, they won't. So he's going to have to fend for himself and speak a bit more, so I think that will help. Speaking of interacting with children, he is now interacting with Jasper. I think it's more because Jasper is a little mini, he's going to be a toddler soon before I know it as well. He's almost walking, so they are like, and he's crawling, and they are finally beginning to play, interact, they cuddle, they laugh at each other, which is so lovely. And yeah, they are beginning to interact, and I can just see their friendship and their relationship beginning to form, which is just such a precious thing as a parent to experience. I'm loving that. I think that the summer's going to be such a special time for them. Now we're going into summer. Okay, I'm going to try and wrap it up, because I don't really want these to be a lot longer than 20 minutes, but a couple of other things that have changed in the last little while, that aren't the greatest of changes, but they're changes nonetheless, are that Elliot is now quite fussy with food, which is a real shame, because he was a fantastic eater as a baby when he was first weaning. It can be quite tricky to feed at the minute, but I'm still trying to expose him to lots of different food, even though half the time he won't eat it. If you watched our previous updates or you've heard me speak before, Elliot has had a lot of ongoing tummy troubles, which we aren't at the end of yet, but I feel like there is a light at the end of the tunnel with that. I might make a whole video on that at some point, but his tummy's better, but it's not 100%. And then last but not least, another thing that is quite a new thing for Elliot, he's always been a brilliant sleeper. You might already know this, but he slept through the night from about 8 to 10 weeks, which is insane. And he always went down to bed, no problems. But in the last, maybe literally since he turned 2, which is weird, I feel like it might be just because he's knowing now, he's getting really upset when we put him down to bed and he's crying for about 5 minutes, because I think it's just that he's really sad that the day is coming to an end. Personally, I think that's what it is, because we've worked out that it's not a fear of darkness, because we've put a nightlight in there and he did not like that. And he actually, like, when we draw the blinds, he gets quite excited when it's dark. Like, he's like, he tells us that, oh, dark, he says dark, that's another thing. So we don't think that he's afraid of dark. So I'm not really sure if it was, I don't know, I think it's because he's upset that the day's coming to an end. He doesn't, and because he's now that cuddly, he wants us to hold his hand, which we do for a few minutes, but we also don't want to have to get in a habit of, as mean as this might sound to some parents, we don't want to get in a habit of, we've got to hold his hand until he falls asleep, because we've only just got Jasper, the baby, to go down to bed without us having to see to his needs all evening long. So I feel like we're just getting our evenings and our freedom back, and Elliot has started being like, I want some attention at bedtime, which has been a bit frustrating. But yeah, what we're doing is we are Elliot has his usual bedtime story, bath, bedtime story, bed, that sort of thing, but now he is more understanding. Oliver still puts Elliot to bed and I put Jasper to bed, so my husband still does the bedtime story, and then he sits with Elliot and he holds his hand through the cot and he just sort of talks through the day and says, have you had a nice day, we've done this, and talk about the day. And then he says, you know, I'm going, you know, it's bedtime now, it's getting late, and we walk out the room, and if he is still crying, we can talk to him through the screen, the monitor. So that's what we've been trying to do, and it actually, I think in the last couple of days he hasn't cried for as long, because I think he's realising now that, you know, he's always like soothed him, like he's always not needed soothing from us. So it's kind of better that we don't. And he was getting more upset. The first few nights that he did it, we were going into him, and he was getting so upset when we were leaving that it was actually becoming more distressing. So as harsh as it might sound to some parents, going in for a, you know, or not going back in is more beneficial to everyone, because we were all getting upset and stressed. And he's never needed us to go into him, so obviously you don't want to think that he's crying and you're ignoring him. We were going in the first few nights because we wanted to check what was wrong, but he was getting more upset when we then left. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird, I don't know if it's the 2-year sleep regression or if it's because, as I said, he's just sad that the day has come to an end. So yeah, I think that is everything that's happened in the last 6 months. Elliot still loves Larry, he loves his grandpa, he loves Pen, he loves books, he is a pleasure to be around. Oh yeah, I was just saying quickly, when I was saying he's really confident, an example of that is that he had a Jubilee party for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, which you might have seen the vlog for if you watch my channel, and like there was like big street party, and Elliot was so confident, like he's just such an easygoing little boy, and like I call him a little boy, I know he's a toddler boy. Like there was music and he was like out in the road and he was dancing and he was being like a little show off and just a real cheeky little toddler boy, and it's just so lovely to see him thrive and be confident. And he just like, he was just dancing in front of strangers and like just being a cheeky little lad, like just so sweet and innocent, and but like it's just nice to see that he's very confident around people. I just feel like as a pandemic baby, that is just such a good thing to be able to say, that he's not afraid of people. Whereas I don't think my youngest, who wasn't a pandemic baby, I don't think he'll be like that. I think he will be a lot more like, he wouldn't, I'm not sure. I don't feel like Jasper would be like that. They're very different, the two boys. As they say, no two children are the same, but yeah, we'll see how Elliot gets on at nursery later on this year. Lots of big changes. I think that I don't think that much has changed with Elliot, although I've been speaking for 20 minutes. Like, there's not been huge developments in the last 6 months, but I feel like in the next 6 months, to 2.5, I think my next video, I'll have quite a lot to talk about, like, as in, like, I reckon that he'll be talking a lot more in 6 months. We might start potty training in the summer as well. That's another thing. So yeah, lots of exciting things to come. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking now because I don't want these to be really, really long. Thank you so much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you like it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.